and welcome back to another special Christmas edition of Em's Caravan Cooking. So it's going to be another quick, simple one today, but we're just going to step it up that tiny little bit from last time from the apricot balls. If you watched last week, you know this week we are doing Rocky Road. Well, our version of Rocky Road. So for this one, you will need marshmallows. You can choose whatever kind of marshmallows you like, whether you want to do the little what are they called? The little baking marshmallows.
The big ones work out better.
The big ones are better. Okay, we personally like the flavour of the big fluffy white and pink marshmallows.
And you get the gooiness when you cut it.
Yeah, right. So marshmallows, just roughly chopped up, not too small, but not too large, unless you want them really big. All right, and some raspberries. So not fresh raspberries, the gummy raspberries, like Ellen's raspberries, just chopped in half. Now, on the note of the raspberries, if you want to use jelly, you can use jelly, but we really like the texture of the raspberries, the flavour of the raspberries, and just how easy they are. Chop them up, done. You can also add, if you don't want just the raspberries, you can buy a mixed bag of your gummy babies for all the different colours if you want to make it a little bit more colourful and the different flavours. But trust me, the raspberries go real good. Some slivered almonds, or if you prefer hazelnut or macadamia, whatever, but nuts are a really great touch, especially almonds, because who doesn't love chocolate and almonds together? Coconut. And then the all-important one, chocolate, right? So as you can see here, we have blocks of Cadbury chocolate. Now, you can use cooking chocolate if you really, really want to. But
if you really have to.
I highly, highly, highly recommend don't do it. Don't do it to yourself, because I mean, sure, it's convenient and it's a bit cheaper, but it really doesn't taste good. It doesn't do it any justice whatsoever. Definitely put the extra few bucks in to buy some decent chocolate. The flavour is well worth it in the end. So we have a large block of milk chocolate, and then for that little extra something, I like to throw the roast almond one in as well. But again, if you want some different flavours, you could probably use the different flavours.
If it was up to me, it'd have old Jamaica rum and raisins, but that's just me, and it might put it in your head to try.
If you do happen to use a different flavoured chocolate, like this way with the Cadbury chocolate, do let us know how it goes, because literally we've always done it this way, because I'm the one in the family that doesn't like the dark chocolate, so this is all my fault that it's milk chocolate, right? But yes, you could use dark chocolate, or a combination of milk and dark chocolate, or white chocolate, swirl that stuff all in there. It's your choice, but we're going to do it this way today. So let's get started. You will need a tray. It doesn't have to be a metal tray. It's just got to be something that fits in your fridge. So keep that in mind, that you need to be able to fit it in the fridge just like this. Not on an angle or whatever else. It needs to sit nice and flat in the fridge. And then you just need to line it with a little bit of baking paper. Alrighty, so the fun part. What you need to do, you need to take all your ingredients here that we've run through and make a nice even layer across the bottom here. So you can put more or less of something in, like if you're not a huge fan of the raspberries, maybe you can put less raspberries in and more marshmallows. Like, this part is really up to you, your flair, your flavours. So I'm going to get in and get these all laid in. So we'll start with some marshmallows. This is that sticky Ray was talking about. So they do stick a little bit together, but this is where the artist in you can come out too. You can just get a bit creative about how you're going to pop it all in. So you'll notice too, I didn't run through the amounts that you need of anything. It's purely because it all comes down to taste and how big a tray you have, really. But for a guide, one bag.
Standard, what size baking tray is this?
I'm going to say this is a 20 by 30, and that's centimetres. So for this one, we've got one bag of marshmallows, one bag of raspberries, minus the few of each that Ray ate as I was chopping them up.
It's always my fault, eh?
Quality assurance, isn't that what they say? You know, you're taste testing for quality. Alright. So we lay down a bunch of marshmallows, and then before we get too crazy and fill it with marshmallows, we'll add a few of those raspberries in there. So what you're really just trying to achieve, so you've got a nice loaded Rocky Road, not 99% chocolate like the stuff you buy in the supermarket. You kind of want to cover the whole bottom of the tray. So don't stress, the chocolate will run down between all of this, so you're not going to affect that how much chocolate you're going to get in it by filling it up too much. That's not going to happen. Really, there's no such thing as too much, is there?
I don't know, some of the store-bought ones definitely have the ratios wrong.
Yeah, because I think don't have enough of they've got like too many marshmallows and not enough of everything else. Yeah, too much chocolate, too much marshmallow, and I mean, quite a few of the brands that we've brought over the past, the marshmallows are left really big. So you've got this huge marshmallow, so in one bite you're basically getting a marshmallow with a little bit of chocolate on it. And
so many of them don't have nuts, and a Rocky Road without nuts it's not Rocky Road.
It's nuts, right?
Jesus Christ. And they say they're bad dad jokes.
I'm bringing in the mum jokes. Oh, you left that one open, I had to take it. Alright, so don't forget the nuts, right? So you've got to sprinkle a few of them, bearing in mind that if you're like me, you've got nutty chocolate as well. You don't need too many nuts, but you still want to be able to taste them in there. Get them in every bite. That's what you got to imagine as you're laying all this out. Every bite. You want every single bite to be filled with the flavours. Alright, so we'll go back and put a few more raspberries. Again, I said it last time too, this is a recipe that you can get the kids involved with too, because like what kid isn't going to have fun doing this? I'm having fun doing this. Alright, so we're nearly there. Sorry, this is a little bit painful, but it's fun. Alright, last few raspberries. So there you go. You can zoom in and show that one, if you don't mind, good sir. So nice even coverage. You can't see too much of the paper through all the ingredients. I was about to say stuff. A little bit of coconut too, because I've said it in so many of our cooking videos, we're coconut people.
Desiccated
coconut. You could use the, I want to say shredded, not the flake, not the big stuff. I don't think that would work very well, but the long, like stringy shredded coconut would probably work. But this stuff, it's in there and you can taste it, you can't necessarily see it. It just gives it that extra something. So just a nice sprinkle of the coconut over the top, because you can put some more of this on the top once you've put the chocolate over it, if you so wish to do so. Just a little bit extra for good luck. Alright. So, that's the easy fun part out of the way. Now, we have to melt down the chocolate. This is probably the most technical part of the whole thing. I'm not saying it's hard. It's not hard. Don't be concerned about that.
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady.
Don't burn it.
Do not put it too hot, and do not put it on like a set and forget. I'm just going to go do this and come back. Literally do this and then do this, right? So, double pots. Sorry, what did you say?
Explain why.
I'm about to do that right now. Just so be patient here. Alright, so double pots. Small pot in the big pot, as you can see there, water in the bottom pot. So we need to half fill the bottom pot with water. This is so the heat is not directly on the bottom of this pan. If you try and put this directly on the heat with the chocolate, you're going to burn it. It's going to stick, it's going to get too hot. We want to melt it, but we want to do this nice and slow and at like a gradual heat, so we're not burning it and we're not affecting the molecular structure of the chocolate. Alright? So you need to find two little pans that will just sit together really nicely. Alright, step one. Let's open that window for a sec. We're going to light that. We don't necessarily want it on boil. So for this little stove, I'm going to have the heat about halfway. To get the water nice and warm, but not actually like bubbling and boiling. And then the fun part, we have to break up all the chocolate. Alright, so chocolate is all cut up, broken up. minus the few pieces right
It tastes fine, guys. It's definitely good chocolate.
So just so you know, quality on this one, top notch. Pan is nice and hot. You probably can't see that, but we've got just a little bit of steam coming off around there. Probably don't want to let it get any hotter than that, but like I mentioned before, once you're at this step of popping the chocolate in the pan, do not leave it unattended. You need to stand here, you need to stir it, you need to keep it moving. It will only take a couple of minutes, but it is a very important step that you don't just bugger off and leave it to do its own thing. I will mention though that once you start this process, as the chocolate is melted, it has to be a very quick process of getting it into here, because this stuff will set really quickly, especially if you're like us, you're in the air conditioning. But we'll cover that in a minute. So first step, we're just going to get to melting this till it's all melted and smooth and silky. This is coming along quite nicely. Now, depending on the size of your pot, obviously because we live in a caravan, we don't exactly have a massive range of pots and stuff on hand. The way I've had to do this with so many blocks of chocolate is I've had to melt down the first little batch of chocolate and then just keep drip feeding the chocolate in as it kept melting down, just because my pot's a little bit little. But we still got it all in there. It's going good.
Let's keep on dancing. Well, 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 on dancing. On dancing.
Alright, so Chocky is all melted down. You can probably still see lumps in there, but don't forget I'm using Cadbury almond chocolate, so there is still whole almonds in here. Alright, so what we're going to do now that we're melted, this is the part where I said business has got to happen and it's got to happen fast.
I'll come around this side.
Yeah. Alright, so water off, get that pot and pour. As quick as you can, just get that chocolate poured all over the top. Super, super quick. Alright, and spread. Spread it. It doesn't have to look pretty. You've got to remember that. You just need to get that chocolate moved to every corner of that. Scrape out these last few bits in the pan. And get them in there too, because, you know, you've got to have plenty of chocolate in it, but not too much. Alright, last batch in there. Alright, so spread all over. Now, because it's hot, it will melt and work its way down into all of your other ingredients there. Now, what I also like to do, while it's still nice and hot, another little sprinkle of almonds on the top. This is completely optional, you don't have to do this one at all. So, just a nice coverage of almonds on the top, and just another little sprinkle of coconut. Alright, so once that's all nice and coated and you're happy with it, the boring part begins. This needs to just come down to room temperature a little bit first, because the sides of this dish are a little bit hot where the chocolate is. But we're going to let this one come down to room temperature before we pop it in the fridge. Now, the bonus is, because it's Cadbury chocolate and not the cooking chocolate, it sets a bit quicker than the cooking chocolate does. So this is probably only going to need about 2 hours before it is cuttable. if you don't have impatient people in your household and you can let it go for about 4 hours, it will just make sure it is absolutely perfect set. So
But we'll stick to the 2.
that's why I said if you don't have impatient people in your house, please let it stretch out to about the 4 hours. If you don't want to eat it because you have impatient people really quickly, again, you can whip this up in the afternoon, leave it in the fridge overnight, and it will be absolutely perfect to cut the next day. So this is where I'll leave you for a few minutes, where we'll let this come down to temperature, get it in the fridge, and when it's set, we'll come back and cut it and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so the Rocky Road has had quite a few hours. I managed to score a few hours out of it to set properly in the fridge. So we'll just quickly jump in, cut a slice off here. So from this point you can cut it sort of however you like, but we like to do sort of the bite-sized grab and go pieces. So just cut a piece, well, a slice off, just to show you what it looks like. Alright. So I'm turning around. I don't want to handle it too much, but as you can see, heaps of you know, spreading of the ingredients or your little fillings. So in every bite you're going to get a little bit of everything.
Speaking of bites,
Yeah, look, I literally, you guys can see, I literally just cut a little corner piece off for him. Now you're gonna drip coconut.
you gotta taste it, hey?
You're gonna drip coconut all over the floor now. Oh, look at the mess he's making!
Absolutely beautiful.
Right, so now you guys have seen it, give it a crack. Like I said, you can add whatever you like into it, but this is pretty well what we do every single time, and it's always perfect. So having said that, don't forget to let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see. Put in some suggestions for what you'd like me to cook, or whether it's a favorite recipe of yours or something you've not tried but you'd like to see to feature as our first M's Caravan Cooking for 2022. So chuck it in the comments. We'll give anything a go. It can be sweet, a savoury, whatever you like. Chuck it down there and we'll work out which one we're going to do. So I'm excited to see what you guys come up with, and nervous. But yeah, get out, try the Rocky Road. It's definitely worth it. So don't forget, if you like this video, chuck a little thumbs up down there. So, and subscribe to us, helps us out, and we'll see you next week. Should I tell them what we're doing next week?
Yeah, better. The all-time favourite.
It is probably the all-time favourite classic for Christmas. It is traditional rumbles. Traditional ones made on the wheat bix. So stay tuned for next week, and we'll see you all then.